36-year-old woman is behind bars on a burglary charge. At just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 27th of May, authorities responded to a residence in the 100 block of West North Street in Madisonville, Kentucky, on a report that a woman had broken into the home. The homeowner told dispatch that he woke up and the suspect, later identified as 36-year-old Gabrielle Caldwell, was standing over him with a sharp-pointed metal object. He asked Gabrielle to leave, but she refused and began undressing. The homeowner then ran out the door to get away until police arrived on scene. Authorities said that Gabrielle appeared to be under the influence of an unknown substance, and that she couldn't provide the address she was in, and continued to say that she was doing laundry. Gabrielle was arrested and charged with second-degree burglary, and she was booked into the Hopkins County Jail on no bond. A 22-year-old Alabama man will spend decades behind bars for setting his ex-girlfriend on fire. On Thursday, the 29th of May 2025, Marquise Antwan Waynes appeared at the Morgan County Court, where a judge sentenced him to 22 years in prison for attempted murder. On the night of the 10th of January 2023, authorities responded to a residence in the 3000 block of North Bethel Road in Priceville, Alabama on reports of a domestic disturbance. When officers arrived, they found a 19-year-old female victim with severe burns to her face and upper torso. She was stabilized before being rushed to a burn center. The victim told investigators that her ex-boyfriend Marquise lured her to the premises via Snapchat under false pretenses. When she arrived, Marquise poured gasoline on her head and body before setting her on fire. Marquise was arrested 2 days later. The defense claimed that Marquise has long suffered from mental conditions that affect his perception of events and competency. He was granted a mental evaluation, but was deemed competent to stand trial. Authorities are investigating a homicide after 32-year-old Celeste Ladisha Harris was found fatally shot. At 11:02 p.m. on Tuesday the 27th of May, authorities responded to a parking lot in the 1400 block of Adams Farm Parkway in Greensboro, North Carolina on reports of a shooting. When officers arrived, they found Celeste unresponsive with at least one gunshot wound. Medics attempted life-saving measures, but they were unsuccessful and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Her death was ruled a homicide. Police have not released any suspect information or a possible motive. Celeste is survived by 2 daughters aged 1 and 9 years old. A 24-year-old man is behind bars following the death of his 3-year-old son. At just after 10 a.m. on Tuesday the 27th of May, authorities responded to a residence along Granite Creek Road in Libby, Montana, on reports that a toddler had accidentally shot himself in the face. When officers arrived on scene, they were met by the child's father, 24-year-old Timothy Moore, outside sitting on the road. Paramedics entered the premises and treated the child, and he was taken to the Cabinet Peaks Medical Center where he later died. Authorities said that Timothy appeared to be in an altered mental state, and when a deputy asked if he was involved in the accident, Timothy asked the deputy to shoot him. Timothy said that he left a loaded gun on the couch and went outside to smoke, and as he was standing outside he heard a popping sound. He then ran back inside and found his son holding a firearm with a gunshot wound to the head. When Timothy was being arrested, an officer observed track marks on his arm consistent with intravenous drug use. He also found a .22 caliber handgun and 2 magazines for the weapon in his pants pocket. While a detective was working to secure the scene, a woman who also lives at the residence asked for keys to a vehicle and her prescription medication. The detective found a clear glass pipe laying on top of the stairs outside. The pipe appeared to be consistent with drug paraphernalia used to smoke illegal narcotics. When the detective went inside the house, he found the woman's medication and found a multicolored silicone container with a crystal-like substance in it. The substance appeared to be consistent with illegal narcotics such as methamphetamine. Timothy is charged with negligent homicide and is being held at the Lincoln County Jail on a $500,000 bond. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for the 11th of June at the Lincoln County Justice Court. The child's body has been taken to the Montana State Crime Lab in Missoula so an autopsy can be performed. 19-year-old Matthew Criscenzo is behind bars for fatally shooting 20-year-old Naomi Oglesby. At 4:28 a.m. on Sunday the 25th of May, authorities responded to a residence at 711 South Lara Avenue in Wichita, Kansas on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they entered the home and found Naomi in a critical condition with a gunshot wound. She was rushed to a local hospital but later died. Naomi was 37 weeks pregnant when she was shot, but doctors were able to successfully deliver the baby and is currently in the neonatal intensive care unit. Investigators identified Matthew as a shooting suspect and he was taken into custody that morning. He was booked into the Sedgwick County Jail on charges of first-degree murder and aggravated battery. On Thursday the 29th of May, Matthew made his first court appearance where a judge set his bond at $250,000. Authorities said that Matthew and Naomi knew each other, but did not elaborate on their relationship. The motive of the killing is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. A woman shot and injured a 39-year-old convicted child molester after catching him trying to rape her 12-year-old daughter in his hotel room. On the night of the 24th of May, authorities initially responded to the Baymont Inn at 3850 Eagle View Drive in Indianapolis, Indiana, on a report of the attempted rape of the girl. They later learnt that a man had been shot at the hotel. During the investigation, the girl's grandmother told police that a man named Bruce Pierce had been communicating with the 12-year-old online and over the phone. She said Bruce has tried to get the girl to run away with him. The grandmother told police that the victim and her sister woke her up when the mother hadn't come home. They went to the Baymont Inn to look for her and found the mother with Bruce in the lobby of the hotel. The 12-year-old girl stayed in Bruce's hotel room, while the mother and other daughter took items to the car. The mother told police she returned to the room and heard her daughter saying no, 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 and saw Bruce on top of the girl, whose shirt had been ripped. She told investigators that she then shot Bruce multiple times. He also had a gun in his hand at the time. The 12-year-old told police she had stayed in Bruce's room when the others left because she felt sick. While the family members were at the car, the girl said Bruce invited her to sit on the bed. Bruce then grabbed her arms, pinned her to the bed and began ripping off her clothes. She said he ripped her tank top and underwear before her mother came into the room, but said he did not touch her anywhere else. The girl said she got away from Bruce when her mother began shooting multiple times. They ran from the hotel and drove away in their grandmother's car before calling police and returning to the scene. Bruce was taken to the Eskenazi hospital and treated for his injuries, but is reportedly not yet in custody. The victim was also treated at a children's hospital because she was hit by the suspect's gun. A warrant was issued for Bruce's arrest on charges of attempted rape, attempted child molesting, unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, and confinement where the victim is under the age of 14. Investigators learnt that Bruce was checked into a room at Regal 18 on West Washington Street, but had not been seen since Tuesday the 27th of May during the morning hours. Court records indicate that Bruce previously pleaded guilty to child molesting charges in 2 separate counties in 2016. The investigation into the matter continues. 41-year-old Erick Lee Nimsey is behind bars for beating and stabbing his father, 63-year-old Eddie Davis. At around 6 p.m. on the 26th of May, authorities responded to an apartment complex at 3451 Southeast 44th Street in Del City, Oklahoma, after they received a 911 call from Erick asking dispatch where he should stab his dad next. He asked the shocked dispatcher, "You want the left or right foot? Which one do you want, dispatcher, whoever you are?" Erick continued to pressure the confused dispatcher, telling her say left or right, and this will be on you. Eddie could be heard speaking in the background and screaming while his son continued attacking him. Erick said, "If you don't answer in 3 seconds, then I'm going to assume you said left." The dispatcher responded frantically, "What is happening?" The dispatcher spent 6 minutes trying to keep Erick talking until officers arrived at the scene. When they arrived, they could hear Eddie screaming for help through the front door of the apartment. Erick told the dispatcher that he refused to open the door, and if you want it open, you can kick it in. The officers then kicked down the door and entered the premises. Once inside, officers found a bloody scene with Eddie collapsed on the kitchen floor, with more than a dozen stab wounds and a knife stuck in his back. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Officers located Erick in the corner of a nearby room, on his knees and with his hands behind his back. Following his arrest, Erick made several delusional comments, including a claim that he was 120 years old and that the officers were plotting to kill his mother. He threatened to stab the officers, but also stated that he could get the Lions and Tigers to commit the crime for him. Erick then asked the police several times, "Do you believe in mercy?" Erick was charged with domestic assault and battery with a deadly weapon, and domestic assault and battery resulting in great bodily harm. He remains held at the Oklahoma County Jail on a $25,000 bond. 31-year-old Iesha Harris will spend decades behind bars for killing her friend's toddler daughter. On Thursday the 29th of May 2025, Iesha appeared in the 3rd Judicial Circuit Court in Michigan and was sentenced to serve 28 to 50 years behind bars after she pleaded guilty to 1 count of second-degree murder in the 2024 death of 3-year-old Harmoni Henderson. Iesha was initially charged with 1 count of felony murder and 1 count of first-degree child abuse, but in exchange for her pleading to the lesser murder charge, the District Attorney's Office dismissed both remaining charges. At around 1:30 p.m. on Sunday the 17th of March 2024, authorities responded to a residence in the 15700 block of Southfield Freeway in Detroit, Michigan, where they found Harmoni unresponsive. She was transported to a local hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Harmoni's mother, Paris England, left a 3-year-old autistic nonverbal daughter with her friend Iesha to babysit for her that weekend. Iesha locked Harmoni and her own 1-year-old in a bedroom for several hours so she could smoke weed with a friend. When Iesha returned to the bedroom, she became enraged after she found Harmoni had thrown up on herself. She doused the girl's face and head with scalding water, and then smashed her head into the side of the bathtub. When Paris video called afterward to check in, Iesha told the mother that Harmoni fell down the stairs after missing a stop and bumped her head and that everything was okay. An autopsy determined that Harmoni died from blunt force trauma, and her death was ruled a homicide. In court, Iesha had a short statement read through her attorney addressing Harmoni's family, saying she apologized from the bottom of her heart. "I pray for peace and for healing for everyone's heart. Most of all, I pray for forgiveness for the pain that I have caused you. If I could rewind back today, I would. I took this plea in hopes of sparing the family the pain of the trial. Please find it in your heart to one day forgive me. I will forever be broken. I'm sorry." An Ohio man fatally shot a Morrow County Sheriff deputy after he responded to a domestic violence call. 53-year-old Brian Michael Wilson is charged with aggravated murder in the fatal shooting of 31-year-old Deputy Daniel Sherrer. At 7:43 p.m. on the 26th of May, Daniel responded to a residence at 105 Olive Green, Marengo Fulton Road in Marengo, Ohio, on reports of a disturbance. Daniel's body cam showed him arrive at the property, where the suspect was seated on his porch with a firearm visible in his hands. Daniel approached the stairs of the porch to engage in a conversation with Brian, but the suspect swore and threatened the deputy, saying, "Don't come up here. I'm not in the mood. Don't come around that corner. I will kill you." When Daniel disregarded the warning, Brian said, "I'm not playing. You better just go if you want your family to see you tomorrow. Get out of here now." As Daniel continued to try to speak to Brian, the suspect opened fire, fatally striking him. Authorities said that Brian used 2 handguns, both of which were recovered at the scene. Daniel's body cam reportedly picked up the audio of the clicks of one of Brian's guns, which he fired until he ran out of ammunition. Brian was also shot by police during the incident, and he was taken to the hospital in a critical condition. He's been arrested and charged with aggravated murder. One of Brian's neighbours told police that the suspect said early that night, "I don't want you around this. I don't want you to get involved. If I were to die tonight, I'll be okay with it." Brian has a criminal history dating back to the 1990s, including a 2009 arrest following a domestic violence incident in his former home in Ohio's Marion County. A man who admitted to beating his mother to death with a hammer will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. On Tuesday, the 27th of May 2025, 31-year-old Douglas Reed appeared at the Coles County Court in Illinois and was sentenced to 58 years in prison without parole for the murder of his 60-year-old mother, Lori Ames. At 9:04 a.m. on the 7th of February 2025, authorities responded to a residence at 2912 Oak Avenue in Mattoon, Illinois to complete a welfare check. When officers arrived, they entered the home and found Lori deceased with blunt force trauma to her head. During the investigation, authorities identified Douglas as a person of interest. At 10:46 a.m. that morning, Mattoon police located Douglas in Moultrie County, and he was taken in for questioning. During an interview, Douglas admitted to striking his mother several times in the head with a hammer in the early morning hours before fleeing the area in his mother's car. 39-year-old Diskeekia McDowell and a 22-year-old daughter Jada McDowell are behind bars after a fight between them left Jada's infant seriously injured. On Tuesday, the 27th of May, authorities responded to reports of a domestic disturbance at Diskeekia's home, located along Carlo Drive in Thibodaux, Louisiana. Deputies learned that an argument escalated into a physical fight, in which the women used household objects to strike each other. During the struggle, Jada picked up her daughter but kept fighting her mother. At some point, the baby was injured during the altercation. The child was transported to a local hospital, where medical staff determined she had suffered a skull fracture. After a thorough investigation, detectives arrested both women the following day. They were booked into the Lafourche Parish Correctional Complex on domestic abuse and cruelty to juvenile charges. Diskeekia's bail was set at $160,000, while Jada's was set at $105,000. 19-year-old Ahnna Tipton is behind bars for possession of a destructive device. On Thursday, the 29th of May, an Evansville police officer in Indiana transported Ahnna to the St. Vincent Hospital for evaluation after she reportedly made threats to end her life at an Eastside Evansville hotel. During the intake process, a St. Vincent police officer discovered a suspicious item inside Ahnna's backpack. The object appeared to be a pill bottle wrapped in duct tape, with a matchstick protruding from the lid and a piece of cloth attached. A second suspicious item was also located in the backpack, an aluminum pipe sealed at both ends with duct tape. The St. Vincent police officer identified what appeared to be incendiary materials inside the pipe, accompanied by a strong chemical odour. Evansville Police Department bomb technicians responded to the scene, examined the recovered materials and conducted an interview with Ahnna. She reportedly admitted to constructing the devices, which were confirmed by the bomb technicians to be improvised incendiary devices. Ahnna also disclosed that she had 2 additional devices located at a residence in Newburgh, Indiana. During a search of her home, authorities discovered 2 more incendiary devices concealed in modified Monster Energy drink bottles. These devices were constructed using the same methods and materials as those found in Ahnna's backpack. During a post-Miranda interview, Ahnna revealed that she had planned to deploy the devices at a high school she previously attended, with the intent to cause harm to others. She was arrested and charged with possession of a destructive device, and she was booked into the Vanderburgh County Jail that evening. She remains held on a $5,000 bond. An 18-year-old woman will spend the next 2 decades behind bars for multiple serious offences involving a toddler girl. On the afternoon of Thursday, the 22nd of May, Alexis Connie Bray of Lee Avenue, Amory, Mississippi appeared at the Lee County Court and entered the guilty pleas on charges of sexual battery and distribution of child porn. The judge sentenced her to 20 years in prison and she won't be eligible for parole. District Attorney Jason Herring said the plea was approved by law enforcement and the victim's family. Alexis was just 17 when investigators with the Lee and the Monroe County Sheriff's offices began looking into her crimes. After a 2-week investigation, Alexis was booked into the Lee County Jail on 5 felony charges as an adult and held without bond. After the case was presented to the Lee County Grand Jury, Alexis was indicted on 3 counts of sexual battery of a 2.5-year-old girl, plus 4 counts of child exploitation for taking pictures or videos of their sexual acts. 41-year-old Rhonda Paulynice is behind bars after police found her 6-year-old son dead in his bedroom. At around 10 a.m. on the 30th of May, authorities responded to Rhonda's home at 2502 Bedford Drive in Fort Pierce, Florida to conduct a welfare check. Rhonda's son, 6-year-old Ramil Pierre, had not attended class in more than 2 weeks, and his school raised concerns. When officers arrived at the property, they found Rhonda in the driveway. She escorted a deputy into the home, where Ramil was discovered deceased lying in his bed. His body was wrapped in fabric with only his face exposed. He had visible signs of decomposition, indicating that he had been dead for several days. It's believed his mother was preserving his body. Rhonda said that she was working with God to exorcise demons out of her son's body, and that she believed that when the child had stopped moving and basically passed away, at that point she felt that the child had been released of those demons and was waiting for him to come back. Rhonda said that the last time she spoke to Ramil was on the 18th of May, which authorities believe was when the boy was killed. St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office said that Rhonda exhibited a lot of highs and lows during the investigation, from laughing at different times at the scene to crying. Rhonda was arrested and booked into the St. Lucie County Jail. She's charged with second-degree murder, failure to report a death and altering a body. On Saturday the 31st of May, she appeared in court over Zoom from jail where a judge denied her bail. The results of the autopsy to determine Ramil's cause of death is pending. 19-year-old Connor Johnston Lyons is behind bars for fatally stabbing his mother, 55-year-old Lara Lyons. At 2:11 p.m. on Friday the 30th of May, Authorities responded to a residence at 6078 AA Drive in Shreveport, Louisiana after an individual called 911 and reported my brother killed my mother. When officers arrived on scene, they found Connor was waiting sitting on the back steps of the home. They handcuffed him and advised him of his Miranda rights. He told deputies that he was hearing voices and he had stabbed his mother 3 times on the right side of her neck with a knife while she was asleep. Deputies searched the home and found Lara deceased in her bed. Connor's charged with second-degree murder, and he remains held at the Caddo Correctional Center with bond denied.